What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Nonstop Culture Podcast, the source for entertainment and trending news discussions that you like to have and we like to join in on. I'm your host, Jeff J. Find us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, at Nonstop Culture, Instagram, at nonstop.culture. Find us on SoundCloud, you guessed it, Nonstop Culture. And go to nonstopculture.com/subscribe for all your podcast subscription needs. Everything from iTunes to Google Play to Stitcher to good old-fashioned RSS, you'll find there. And if you have a question for us, feel free to email info@nonstopculture.com. This week on the show, I got my man DPalm from the MTR Network to join me to talk about everything from March Madness to LeVar Ball to all the sequels and everything coming out. Seems like everybody wants a remake, a reboot, a rescript, a recast. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of other trending news that's recently broke and that we'll talk about. This is somebody who's real knowledgeable in sports, pop culture, cartoons, comic books, you name it. If it's entertainment, DPalm knows about it from his shows and from shows I've been on and just normal debate. This dude knows what he's talking about, and he actually loves and has a passion for it. So we talk about how he got to the podcast game and all our topics. And you can see from our repartee that we love what we do. We love what we're talking about. And you get some great conversation and some gems, too. He dropped some gems where, shoot, I'm about to be stealing them. I'm going to give credit for, but I'm going to be dropping them like I'm like DPalm Stradamus and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So here it is, episode 2, on with the show. My man, DPalm, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, man, I've had to have you back. You know, it's March Madness. All things sports related. So I know that's your lane. That's one of the things you love. So I thought it would be good to have you on.
I mean, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you beforehand because I know you've been on with me before. Just refresh because we did the rebrand with Nonstop Culture and
right.
refresh you with our community. One thing I always wondered: what was the moment where you said to yourself, yo, I really want to do this podcasting thing? Because everybody doesn't come into it the same way. We all have different paths.
Right. So it's wild. A couple years ago, I started seeing this girl, and we hit it off. It was great. We've been together about 10 months, and she got her dream job in Philadelphia. We lived in Atlanta. And I said, she said, what's going to do? She said, well, I'm going to Philly. I said, well, I guess I'm going too. So I stuck with her, went to Philadelphia, got a job and everything's going well, but I miss talking to my friends. I miss talking about sports, and my old roommate had just started writing for a University of Georgia website, dudeyoucrazy.net. And I said, hey, man, if you guys need someone to write or someone to just do a couple fill-in spots, I'd love to help out. He took it to the editor-in-chief, and I met via email. He said, yeah. And I started writing for him for about a month and a half, and I was like, hey, man, this site could really be great for a podcast. I'd love to set it up and run it. Because I was always a fan of Rod and Karen at Black Guy Tips. I was a fan of Chris and everything he did at MTR. I was a fan of everything at Where's My 40 Acres. I was a fan of all these different podcasts, and I would annoyingly be that guy on Twitter like, hey, man, what kind of mic do you use? Hey, what kind of upload software you got? Oh, you got compressions? Okay, all right. Mixers? Okay. I was that dude. I was that fan. And so I just started my own show, and it was slow going, and it got traction. It got bigger and bigger. And then as other guys got busier, it became truly my show. I think at episode, I want to say, around 120, 121, I took over the show. It was mine. I could do whatever I wanted with it. I had my little brother who's a musician. I had him on to do a show. We did TV reviews. I did whatever I wanted, but it was still a sports podcast. We got some. We were syndicated through a different web service. They were running our football stuff during the week on their, I guess, web-based radio, and so I was getting a pretty good audience, and I'd already started podcasting with Chris and I'd done my first insanity check, and I suggested hey man, if you need someone to do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reviews, I'd love to help out. And we hit it off, and clearly we do way too much stuff together now, but it was just a moment where as a fan, I was like, hey, I think you need help on the site. I would love to help out if I can. And he put me on, and we hadn't looked back. But episode, I think 170 of the show, I talked to Chris, and I was like, why don't I just take my sports thing and put everything I do on one network, so I don't send out 18 different links. I would just do MTR, maybe one place home. And he cackled like an evil genius and said, I knew you would come. And then Now I run the Unanimous Decision podcast, UD Pod, over at MTR. I am co-hosting on Super Tuesday podcast, where we recap Flash, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow. And I also co-host all our character corners. And I'm also all over the Premium Network. So,
it's funny. It's your story has the metaphor of closed mouths don't get fed. You kept asking and grinding, and here you are now. It's funny. People don't really think to do that. They'll just stay in their lane and say, I'm good with what I have. But the more you ask, the more you take on. And as you know, the best reward you get for a job well done is more work.
Exactly. It's the craziest, wildest thing. So you had me and Chris on the other show last June. It was right after we did AwesomeCon, and it was it's the first time I ever met Chris in person, and It was wild because we did a live podcast, we did a live, a live show. It was us, Justin from Three Fish Pod, Sterling from Gaming Then Some, and Rod and Karen from Black Eyed Tips. And it was wild for me because I'm up here on stage with these cats who literally are the reason why I picked up a microphone. So if anything, like you said, you gotta go for it. Like, you can't just be like, because I listened to all these shows and I was lonely in Philly. I wanted to talk to somebody about sports and talk to my friends again. And I was like, but how can I do this? And honestly, what pushed me over the edge was first seeing Rod go full time with the podcast. I was like, okay, you know what? He's taking his shot. I got to at least get my feet wet. And then I also read. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. And I love his books. And he wrote a book called Tough. I think it's Tough Shit. And the overall theme of it is, don't be a why person. Everyone's got great ideas, but everyone else around them will say, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to give that a shot? Why do you deserve to be heard? Be a why not person. Surround yourself with why not people. Why not you? Why not take the shot? Why not record something? And that's why I said at the end of our live show at AwesomeCon, like, if you think it's something cool and special that we're doing, we're just talking to a microphone with our friends. You've got a friend, you've got a mic, you've got a podcast. Don't do it for, like, I know our numbers. I don't care about our numbers. Do it for you. And whatever comes of it, it'll come. But if this is something you enjoy, this is a medium you like, you are a record button away from getting involved.
Yeah, you reminded me of KG from back in the day when he said it ain't about the loot before signing the biggest contract.
Look, I do it for the love, but I'll take the loot. Like, if the loot's coming, I'm here for it.
Yo, you just said one of the best quotes I've ever heard. And I'll do it for the love, but I'll take the loot. Yo, I will credit you every time. Everybody's hearing it here. Y'all know I love crediting. I will credit you every time. That's so real. Because doing what you love and being able to profit in any way from it, it's really the idea. If you think of those the Venn diagrams and the concentric circles, that's like the one that has 18 different circles in the middle, and that's the sweet spot. Shout out to my guy Rudy Racine. He has Higher Learnings, teaching people how to get a job and do better with LinkedIn and all of that stuff and prepare you for the workforce. He has I'll share it on the site. He has one of those diagrams where, if it's like your passion and you feel like it's your calling, that's what a vocation is, like those concentric circles. But that quote you just said is the epitome of where you would want to be. And I would even agree where when I started getting back into podcasting, originally we were doing a relationship podcast years ago, before the podcasting boom. And and I've always said that was one of my biggest regrets, was not sticking with it, because who knows where I would be. I always respect my journey, but that's one of those life lessons where hopefully years from now I could say, that's one of the things that spurred me to be where I am today. But even getting back, I wanted to do the podcasting, and similar to you, just talking with one of my friends, and it ballooned into doing multiple reviews of stuff. And that wasn't even the original intention of the podcast, but it was just talking about the shows that we love, taking those Twitter conversations to real life and giving some meat and some value to them and some context. And something where one great outlet for these type of shows is that you have somebody to talk to, even if they're not directly responding to you. Because some of the things you saw, if people are talking about it and you get that cosign, you're like, yeah, I always knew XYZ. So this is a perfect medium for that, especially if you're somebody who You like to talk. You don't want to be in front of a camera or anything like that. It's controlled. Nobody's clocking what you say. You control all the production. It's beautiful, man. I'm glad you were able to find that outlet, the outlet that you probably already had, but just refining it.
Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, I've done it. I guess I'm going on 6 years, which is nuts to me.
That's wild.
But at the
That's
same
wild.
time, it's probably less than 2 years, probably 5 years about. But it's still wild. Like, it's crazy because it's something I've always been a fan of. Something I always loved to indulge in. I was like, it never crossed my mind that I had something that someone wanted to listen to.
Yeah, that's one thing that, you know, and this is something that I dealt with when I was rebranding and wanting to present myself right. You have to love what you're talking about, but at the same time, you really can't care if anybody's listening, because once you start caring, that's when it becomes a chore and not a passion, and that will reflect in what you record. Right. And your subject matter. It's just is what it is. And where it's more fun, and you listen to DPalm and Chris on MTR Network and their comic corners, character corner, the reviews that they do, you can tell they're fans. Like this is the fan aspect that you would want. It's not pretentious or anything like that. We all have our particularities about us where with certain stuff irks us and pisses us off, but this is really talking with your friends, and it shines throughout. So, you know, it's a beautiful thing, and you're low-key a guru now, if you don't believe it. You're low-key a guru. 5-6 years, you got skin in the game, man. You got skin in the game.
Wild. So. I don't think I've ever thought about how long I've been doing this till I just said that out loud.
Yeah, dude. I've been writing for over a decade.
Right.
And even me saying that right now, my hips started hurting. I started getting pains in my elbow. Like, I feel old, but you build it up, and eventually you look at your body of work. And I remember when you were on as a guest, and I looked at your Dude You Crazy stuff, and I'm not heavy into college football like you, but loving to hear people talk about their teams, and it's like they could be the greatest team on earth or stink, but you know you riding for them, and that passion and everything that you speak about. And it's like, when you said that, I'm like, yeah, you've been around for a bit. Like, you're not the up and coming, you're not the upstart, the young upstart that's like, I'm just trying to record a podcast and have one person hear me every day. You're here now. So it's just beautiful to see that progression.
Man, it's wild. It's been a good journey, but I wouldn't trade it for nothing, man. And like I said, I do it for the love. I love everything we do. Like and because it's hard to keep a consistent podcast. It's hard. It is real work to book guests and find stories. At one point last month, I had booked up my next 6 guests, and I was so proud of myself. I was like, it was the most grown up shit I've ever done in my life.
And for anybody who remembers the In Living Color Heyman skit, if you haven't, YouTube it. For those who may be younger, don't remember In Living Color or wasn't around when it was popping, it's like you got 15 jobs. You're a producer, you're a director, you're a talent brooker, you're a host, you're a graphic designer because you got to make up the cover pages and all of that. Right. Like it's wild how much experience you build just doing your passion. Like I taught myself a lot of stuff. I went to school for computer science, so if I can't learn a damn program, then I need to give Hofstra back all its money. You know what I mean? But it's dope, man. It's real dope, and I'm glad you're joining me. You want to get into these news?
Let's do it.
All right. So something that just broke before we joined, and we got up and talked today. So your favorite pundit, Tomi Lahren, she got suspended from the Blaze, man. I don't know if you heard.
Oh, I heard. I just see the way my petty shut up. Like, so for this one, it's a 0 for me because I can't react at all because I want to party off her not being employed, not being on the air. I want to party off that. But at the same time, I want to party off the hypocrisy of you got mad at her because she's not quote unquote pro life.
Right.
Like, so for the whole thing is ridiculous. I can't stand her, but if it had to happen, I'm glad it happened to her.
Right. So just to introduce, it's just funny to see his initial reaction. I thought I was going to catch him if he didn't hear, but I knew you would hear. So Tomi Lahren got suspended from her job as a Blaze, it's about at least a week. And in the biggest tip of irony or hint of irony that you could imagine, it was because on The View, she more or less stated that she was pro-choice. And her reasoning being, if she's a Republican, if she's a constitutional person who believes in limited government, then that would include limiting the rights that the state or the federal government has on women's bodies, which is something that I always wondered about people who are Republicans. Like, I have a good friend who is a Republican, and I always, the way he articulates his views and where the place that he comes from. When we were in college, I always told him, shout out to my guy James, I always told him, yo, you should run for office, because I feel like you're one of those people who people could say, I don't agree with your ideology, but I know you're not evil, I know you're not insane, and you have a rationale that I might like that. When they talk about the aisle, crossing over the aisle or working across the aisle, like, he's like one of those people who is like, I can do that. Like, that's what he would do. But he would always say to me that it's the social issues that he's just not, it's not that serious, but if you gotta acquiesce. And for women who are Republicans, it's always like, all right, if you're pro-life, cool. But the invasion of the government on your body to tell you what you can't do, regardless of what you feel like is right or wrong, I always felt like that was an immediate conflict of interest. And the other thing, I never want to celebrate somebody being unemployed or even being suspended or whatever. I never want to do that. But I just feel like it's ironic that on this point, she can see hypocrisy, but not on all the other shit that she says.
Well, you've got to realize what's actually happening here. So, first of all, I'm not set up like you. I'm happy she's not getting paid. I'm outwardly, you can quote me on that. I hope she never works again.
Praise dance.
But what she's doing is, she's doing the subtle Megyn Kelly turn, because her contract's up in September and rumors of her leaving already. If she tones down the harder edges, she becomes quote unquote acceptable. So
she's trying to be like the anti-hero Steve Austin.
This is the middle move. This is the move to the middle.
This is the slow heel to face.
The whole slow heel to face. This is like The Rock, like hesitating with the chair. I hear you. Like it's that moment of indecision, so that you think just maybe this asshole could one day turn it around.
This is Hollywood Hogan Hulk it up versus The Rock for that.
Oh yeah, this is like, we're going to get the crowd behind us, except I don't think anyone's cheering for Tommy Lauren, because the left hasn't forgotten what she said, last fucking week. Meanwhile, the right's mad because she thought this move would engender her more to the left than it has. She knew what she was doing to the right. She knew she did it on purpose. She was trying to step away from the Blaze, step away from the image. And what she did was she didn't turn hard enough or fast enough. She did it on a Friday on The View. Do it on a Tuesday. Show me you're real. Right. And I'll still make fun of you for not having a job.
And the Blaze ain't playing because they got her out of there on Monday. Like, they took the weekend. They were checking their brackets and like, all right,
they filed
Sunday
that
night,
Friday afternoon. Like, it won't go through till Monday. That's fine.
Yep. I hear you on that, man. And I can see where you're talking about with how she's slowly making the turn, stepping away, going more right of center, centering herself and trying to really endear her to communities that she's offended and that she's turned off. But this is where pundits, in my opinion, this is where they mess up. You have to always, if you're going to be extreme, you need to be extreme both ways. That way people could say, all right, this is something I don't agree with you on, but if you strongly agree in another place, then when you come to the center, it doesn't look like as much of a shift as she's doing. And you know where it actually started, when she started going on all these other shows like Trevor Noah.
Well, that's when she and her people realized that there was appeal in the middle, and that there was probably more money in the middle. As you see that people like the Blaze and Breitbart are just bleeding advertisers, that there was more money in the middle. She made a financial decision. You can read her tweets before you check on this ultra conservative persona. They're pretty damn liberal. They're like a typical college sorority girl who doesn't think that much. Not offending sororities, but that's the image she portrayed on her Twitter when they dug up those tweets. then all of a sudden it becomes a hardliner because it would sell. She found something else that'd sell better. That's all it is. It's a capitalist move.
It's also an interesting chess move with the way she's moving, because now if you're a pro-choice woman's group, if you're a woman's group in general and this happens to her, do you step in? Do you advocate on her behalf, especially if you're a group who she's offended in the past, but by letter of the law, this is something that you would advocate for anybody else? Do you do that? Are you damned if you do, damned if you don't? I don't know. From a PR and that.
What's your answer? Would you do it? Would you step in?
You know what? I would stay silent. If we're talking about straight morals, I would see it for what you're saying, and what we're more or less agreeing on, that it's a shift, it's a money grab. If the Blaze came out and disrespected her and put her down on some sexist shit, then you kind of have to. Or do you have to say, wow, we don't agree with her views, you shouldn't be treating women like shit, or whatever that would be? That would, what PR wise, that's what I would say. But any other time, no.
That's how you tell the fans they're in good hands, man. Y'all are going to be just fine with Jeff Root leading the way, because he, first of all, took way too long to answer. The answer is, oh no, I party in the news. If I ran an organization that did that kind of work, and the Blaze came out with some sexy shit, I'd be like, who's working on the meme of this? Like, who's going to make the joke? Let's get these memes out here, guys. We're partying now. No.
Oh man, I hear you, and that's the toughest type of decisions to make. And trust me, while this is like one of those where I say that and then you just make a Twitter or Instagram account and just join in on the jokes, and because the jokes gotta fly. That's the rule of social media. The jokes will fly. That's why I always say, like, when my friends were on, I've gotten torched on social media before by people I know, by people I don't know, and you live this game. Eventually, you're gonna be on the other end of that meme screen. You just gotta take it like a chip.
I know when mine's coming. I know for a fact
you can feel it.
Coming. No, I can tell you whenever Chris drops the Iron Fist review.
Oh, y'all already did it?
No, we haven't. Whenever record and drop it, that's the next time I'll have to just put my phone away for a couple days.
I hear you. You just got to embrace it, man. It's like what they used to say: embrace the hate. You got to embrace it, man. You have to. I
tweeted this morning. I said I loved Iron Fist. Argue with yourselves. And, I backed it up with another tweet. I said, when we record, I'm going to drink just enough so that I can be perfectly honest about how I feel about all of them.
That's the talk that needs to happen next. Just a quick pivot, but we'll talk about that a little bit too. We'll jump into it. You opened up Pandora's box, so I'm just gonna look inside and see what's there. Brady found his jersey. I know you saw that. So it's being reported. And shout out to Bleacher Report, just because them checks coming in every couple of weeks. So I'm gonna read off the report on my company's site. But Jay Glazer actually broke it on Fox that it was a Mexican reporter from La Prensa, which means the press, Diario La Prensa, which is like daily news or whatever have you, from Mexico, who was posing as an international reporter, allegedly. I got to throw in like 15, allegedly time 100, so that y'all don't come after me. But it's alleged. They had the video of him walking in with nothing and walking out with something. And for anybody who's watched closed circuit TV in a bodega, that's always the smoking gun. You came in with 2 hands free and left with 1 and didn't pay. It's like it's a pretty good chance that you took something. But he was credentialed, or at least posed as a credentialed reporter, walked in and got the jersey, got the FBI involved, because if I'm supporting Trump, I better have FBI involved in my in whatever I'm doing to get my jersey back. But what I found was interesting, the NFL released the statement on it, but they found his 49. This dude allegedly took his 49 jersey and sold it too, and they recovered both.
First things first, I don't appreciate being called in your podcast as a guest and being forced to talk about it.
You know what? I
want
forgot.
that out. I want that out there, and I don't appreciate this ambush journalism that's occurring right this second, sir. Secondly, fuck Tom Brady and fuck that jersey. I don't care. I hope they take all his jerseys. Thirdly,
for next season, every jersey.
He's playing in a penny. Thirdly, Bob Kraft flew on Air Force One, Trump's jet, of course. It's Air Force One. Good Lord. On Air Force One to Mar-a-Lago last weekend. Of course they found the jersey.
Yo, you get what you pay for, man. I ain't mad. Kraft is like, look, you know half my fan base hates me. You better find this man jersey. You better find this man jersey, Donald. So, you know what I found was ironic. A foreign agent took Brady's jersey.
You know what's more ironic?
Tied to Mexico.
You know what's more ironic?
What?
Trump and his administration were able to hunt down a Brady jersey and get it back. But we know where Bob Kraft's ring is. It's on Putin's finger. Go ask him for the ring back, Don.
I still don't even remember how Putin... Putin has to be the next Bond villain. Or Mission Impossible or something like that. He's saying next,
like he isn't actually a Bond villain right now.
I mean in fiction.
We aren't living some horrible spy thriller.
I mean, he's a spy. He's a former spy.
Jeff, our current president has been under investigation for being a Russian agent since July. We're living a shitty Tom Clancy novel.
Yeah. It's like Rainbow 7.
They sell this book at the Spindle at the grocery store at the beach.
This is the one that you pick up at the airport when you're like, damn, I left my iPod at home.
But you didn't want to go to the bestseller rack, so you go to the other rack and just pick whichever cover looked best. This is the story you get.
Yo, man, I'm mad. You said this is I need a trashy novel to set me over for the next 3 hours.
This is the reality we found ourselves in.
Oh, man. Well, I guess that's a happy ending for them. Hopefully that this is the last good ending that the Patriots, because it's always fuck the Patriots on this side. I apologize, DPalm. He is a Atlanta Falcons fan. I didn't even mean it from that angle. It happens, man. It happens. I mean, I personally can't relate because I don't know what it's like for my teams to lose to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Wow, so, that was completely uncalled. Hey, do you ever ask yourself why the only times you guys win playoff games is when you win Super Bowls? Or is it just a general failure of management and or personnel?
Bro, I'm curious. I sleep with my rings at night. I'm a part of We Got Rings Twitter. I'm a part of We Got Rings Twitter when it comes to the Giants. Yo, let me tell you, it feels so good to be a part of We Got Rings Twitter when the slander comes, because I'm like, yo, the banners keep me warm at night. They comfort me. I understand why Lakers fans and Celtics fans are so brazen. I don't know what that's Lakers like, and they're probably won't.
Quiet lately.
They're staying low in building. Don't get it twisted. They're staying low in building. Next year, it's gonna watch. You're gonna see.
We'll see. Or it'll be Game of Thrones Lakers edition.
Oh man, yeah. But unfortunately, they seem like they're on the right track. But shout out to y'all. I don't know. I also can't relate to having a functional team in this decade. So a basketball team, that is. But that's a story for another. See, I slander myself. I take it, you my guest, so I invite you into the house, and I take a bullet or two. It's all good. It is all good. One thing I wanted to speak to you about. Well, before we get to that, you can save IG Live finally, which I don't understand. Where Facebook bought Instagram and Facebook Live you could sell, but they didn't introduce that into Instagram Live until now, because you would shoot a live video and then it would go into oblivion.
Right.
Or Bolivian, as the great Mike Tyson
Shout out
said.
to Mike.
Bolivian. But, I'm
not going to correct him, are you?
Dog, I will amend the dictionary definition of Bolivian to put like a third one.
It could be nowhere or a person from Bolivia. Either way.
Right. I'm going to put synonym oblivion and then in parentheses, trust me. It's synonym of oblivion.
It's safer just to add it.
Yeah. But, with all of these apps, it's kind of like my video game sequel theory, where they save it for the next game. But with apps, they save it for the update. Because if you got, this was big with fighting games back when GameCube and N64 and all these things were out, where they would come out with like WCW versus NWO, and it would have everything but intros. It seems like, who wouldn't think, we should put intros in the game. We should have the Titantron in the game. We should have personalized entrances and not generic player entrances. Oh, right. we got that for 2018. We'll put it in 2018. Because if you give them everything, what else is there to give? But I'm even more upset with Instagram because a glitch kept me from getting the full Nonstop Culture name. And I'm glad you're here because I can finally explain this story. So I'm making the account, right? And for anybody who's made an Instagram account, you make the account, you enter information, you grab the name, and then voila, you're supposed to have an account. Somewhere between making the name and voila, the internet crashed or something like that. So it was one of those rare glitches where it kicked me out of the name, created the account, but didn't tie an email to the name. So I can't recover a password that hasn't been set for an account that doesn't have an email or a phone number attached to it.
Oh, wow.
Like a 1 in a billion chance that would happen. It happened to me. And of course, Instagram literally has a Kanye shrug in their terms of service where they say, well, if you can't get to the password and if you don't have an email or a phone number associated, we can't do anything for you, unfortunately. And I'm just like, how? So I'm going to be spamming them and making sure people angrily tell them to give me that name because it's currently sitting as no followers, no posts, and it just so happens that I told you when it was created, gave you timestamps. So, shout out to Live for being able to download, but can I get the fucking name for my podcast? Thanks. Pissing me off.
This is really on your chest.
Yo, dude, I have to put disclaimers on everything. How somebody can say, you could get UD Pod everywhere. Right. I have to say everywhere but Instagram, where you have to add a freaking period. And I always say I'll talk about it later, but now I'm talking about it. So if anybody knows anybody, Mark Zuckerberg level or below at Facebook/Instagram that can help me with that, hit me up. So let's get into the meat of what we're talking about. I had to get that off my chest.
Tell them why you're mad, man. Tell them why you're mad.
As somebody who grew up with technology in this boom and went to school for computer science, that's one of those things where anybody who suffered through a computer science class is like, damn, this is the one that would stop me from getting a passing grade. But yeah, so wanted to talk to you about this idea of sequels and reboots, remakes, all of that in entertainment. Because I know you saw the news last week, Matrix. They were talking about rebooting it, and then they kind of backtracked on it. And Eddie Murphy decided to watch the internet burn and ask if people wanted Coming to America too, as if he hasn't been a part of these raging conversations before. So that's a couple of things that happened over the past last week, and just wanted to get your take on whether you're in favor of reboots. Well, let me take a step back. There's a difference between a remake and a reboot, where Correct. A remake is the same. It's basically the same thing, but made again, like Beauty and the Beast. That's a live action remake. Same character, same story, just they did something different and made it live. As opposed to a reboot like Spider-Man and then Amazing Spider-Man and now Spider-Man Homecoming, where you're just refreshing the IP of the movie. And you may be telling the same story, but not in the same way that you told it. There may be variations. So what did you think when you first heard about this Matrix news, where they're saying, of course it's just to get everybody talking, but they're saying it wouldn't be so much of a reboot as it would be mining the IP to tell expansive stories.
So I was one of those Matrix guys who I loved the first movie, and I was into the Animatrix stuff. I was aware of all the storylines. So one of the big central themes of the Matrix is everything repeats itself.
Right.
And so if they want to mine that, I was like, that's what my mind went to originally. I was like, it's probably a bad translation or someone's poorly communicating the idea. I hope they're not actually going to do the entire thing again. And then, of course, the writer came out and was like, no, we're going back to the IP, which I'm all for. As long as it's done well, I think technology's finally caught up to what the Wachowski siblings kind of had in mind. Mm-hmm. Like, I went and saw Kong the other day, and spoilers, it's a movie about a giant gorilla. I don't know. I don't want to ruin it for your audience about a movie that came out in 1933. But the new Kong, so the stance on remakes and reboots is actually quite prescient for me because I just gave money to one of them.
Right.
Historically, Kong hasn't done well. This is a great movie.
Okay. I want to see
the entire time.
Yeah, I think with the monster movies, it's a little different, though, because it's like, all right, we're watching them blow stuff up and act egregious. If it's a reboot, it's a reboot. Like, that's something where the IP I don't really get upset at. But I thought
monster movies are basically mythology just retold for a new generation.
Right. So it doesn't really upset me or anything. But when I first heard the news of a reboot or a remake, the first thing I said was Neo's story is over, at least to what we know. At that point, it's over. I don't think you need to tell that story. I thought it would be interesting if you do it like prequels and tell Morpheus' story, how he came out. That's where the Michael B. Jordan tie has been most closely been associated with a prequel. That would be cool. But for someone like you who loved Animatrix, Animatrix blew my mind, bro. like when I tell you, it's almost embarrassing how much Animatrix blew my mind, because it was just, I love anime and I love the Matrix, and Matrix was had its roots in anime, and then they actually made an Animatrix. Bro, I can still remember it. Like, I got to go back and watch it. Like, that's how hyped I was when I first saw it. But there's so many, like, the Matrix is a literal virtual world that's huge. You could tell story, and you know that the agents and the system was fighting a multi-pronged attack, probably uprisings in a bunch of different places. So you could see where they could tell stories, and they're clearly taking from what Disney is doing with Star Wars. And they could actually take another step where the new stories are better than the original.
Oh, 100%.
That would be great. That would be great. So I'm all for that and mining the IP, because you know what? That sort of open world, make your own assumptions, leaving it up to the viewer, just going into a world and seeing where it is. That's a theme that's taking place everywhere, even in video games. Like Legend of Zelda Breath of Wind released, and one of the things that was being touted about that was that it's an open world where literally for years, for those who've played video games or any type of computer game, where you say, I wish I could do X, but you couldn't because it was just outside of the bounds. This is one of the games where you making the adventure because you literally can do what you want. So that type of, and that's like an example of them being more expansive as opposed to being rigid to what they were previously given. So I'm all for that. Now, coming to America 2. No,
don't you dare. If we don't talk about it, it can't happen, right?
I'm just saying, if they were to make a sequel to that, it would have to be, first of all, they cannot reboot that. Don't reboot it. Don't remake it. There's no need. Unless you're doing Coming to America on Broadway or some shit, which I've just talked myself into saying that might be amazing.
Now, you shouldn't have said that, because now that's what I want.
Oh, shit. That might be great, Coming to America on Broadway. But would you have any excitement to see what Semi and Akeem and everybody are up to now, and maybe a new story of their kids and something like that? I don't know. That's the only feasible thing I could think of, because you don't need to see another type of that story.
I don't know. Nothing good comes of it. All it does, it's Jordan in the Wizard jersey. All it does is tarnish the stories. Or you pretend it didn't happen. I'll tell you what I am here for, though. These Disney live-action remixes or animated classics is brilliant.
Did you see Beauty and the Beast?
Not yet. I'm going to, because I have a fiance who watched these movies as a child. She said that every woman in her office said, I'm not even sure the movie was that good, but I loved every second. I talked to one of my female friends, and I said, so what was it like? She said, it was perfect, except it was a perfect shot-for-shot remake, except what? And she goes, well, they added 3 scenes, and every time those 3 scenes appeared, I got really upset. So
she went full nerd with it.
It's from now on, go shot for shot. Don't let the director play. You recreate this cartoon in real life. And I'll tell you what, they're casting an all Middle Eastern cast for the Aladdin one.
Oh, that's dope.
And there's talk of possibly, if they can capture the audio well enough, just CGIing the genie and allowing it to be Robin Williams' voice.
Wow. I think that's amazing.
I'm here for your remake. Amazing. Like, this is a remake I'm here for. If you're going to take cartoons that I loved and turn them into live action things that invariably I will probably love, yeah, I'm good for. Like, did you see The Jungle Book?
I haven't yet.
I haven't. It's on Netflix right now.
Oh, dope.
Take an afternoon and just sit and watch it. It is amazing what they pull off. Jon Favreau directed it, and I think he's directing the Aladdin one too. I'm not sure about that.
Right. Yeah, I have like a running list of things that I have to watch or movies. I keep track of a lot of that, and that's been at the top of the list, so I have to see that. But
here's how good it was. 20th Century Fox is making one of their own, and they pushed it back a year.
I haven't heard about that joint. They were supposed to come. They sent it upstairs with Judy from Flat Family Matters.
Gone forever.
You know what? You got to know when to hold them and fold them, man. If that bridge ain't looking crazy, you got to throw them cards in. I hear that. And not for nothing, and I didn't think I'd be saying this in the year of our Lord 2017. Fox be making smart decisions nowadays. I don't know what changed. I don't know what happened.
They at least know when the fight shouldn't happen.
Right. Somebody came in and was like, guys, we've been probably a little bit too brazen. We've gone in full kamikaze. Maybe we need to take a step back. Somebody came in and just said, breathe. That probably was what they said, breathe, and let's look at this from a holistic view. We don't need those Jungle Book problems right now. Let's worry about Deadpool 2. Let's kick our stuff to that. We don't need no Jungle Book problems. But yeah, man, I'm fully with you on the whole Coming to America, but I'm kind of down for Coming to America, the Broadway musical. I'm here for it. Like we have to make that happen. But the sequel to that, I don't think so. Switching gears, big sports weekend. One of the reasons why we couldn't do this until Monday because I was deep in the March Madness pits. But it's a fun time. This is one of the times where I love working in sports and being a fan. Let me ask you a question in terms of a couple of NCAA. I know you spoke about this on your latest UD pod. You talked about March Madness, right? This opening round. I know that. I knew you were hyped. When I saw your Duke lost tweet, I was like, oh, it's about to be fire. It's about to be fire.
It's crazy because, okay, so I hate college basketball and I hate March Madness. So
are you wait, hold on. I want to make sure the FBI isn't listening. Are you a terrorist?
I'm not a terrorist. I just don't. Okay, so college basketball, my thing is I hate missed layups. And they're going to miss layups, and I'm just going to get mad watching it. And secondly, I talked about this on my show this past week with Zito from Sports Nation, but we agreed that in the last 10 years, the cachet for players in college has really dropped. The only player I know because of his dad. And so even 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago, matter of fact, there was a national debate, Oden or Durant. We haven't really captured that spirit in a while. And for me, then the stars become the coaches, and then it really turns me off. So for me, my lack, and also it's the fact that no one knows anything. The March Madness is always like, well, what's your system? No one has a system. It is literally like I'm DPalm. I have a loose scaling problem that's under pretty good wraps now. But I don't do brackets anymore. This is the first year I didn't do a bracket. It's been freeing. I haven't seen 1 second of college basketball. I'm going to watch next weekend because I always say the first weekend is just a lot of teams that probably shouldn't be on television.
It's been pretty good, man. It was crazy. I was just going to
competitive. It hasn't been good.
Well, you know why it has been good? Because I have been doing brackets, and I may be a degenerate. Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing. I probably watch 5 hours, if that, of college basketball the whole year, unless I'm working and I have to watch it. Right. So I'm not really paying attention to it until March Madness. And I'm not I'm not no like Vegas McGee, big gambler. Like, you know, I enjoy gambling as much as the next person. You know, I'm fairly okay. I'm probably close to breaking even in my entire lifetime, but that's a story for another day.
As long as the next person in this analogy isn't me, because I have a much more intimate relationship with gambling.
Yo, trust me. And the thing is, I can honestly say I'm happy that I don't have that much more of an intimate, because I did go to school for the sciences and I'm into math and probability and numbers. And when you put money into it and say, yo, that could happen, oh, that's bad. That's just real bad for me. So I'm glad I keep it, you know, I like competition. That's the thing that really draws me in. I love competition, and putting something on the line is what sweetens the pot. But one thing that I would tell you, and that's one of the things I want to talk about in terms of brackets and college, because I knew you're super heavy college football. You know what's one thing that's really drawn me in is I do brackets now, but I know they're gonna bust at some point. So
it's designed
it's inevitable.
to break.
It's designed to break. So you know, I don't really take solace in that. It's a war of attrition. So if my bracket gets shattered, so what? Recently, over the last few years, I've been doing March Madness Survivor Pool. Yo, when I tell you it's a million times better than a bracket, because you're literally going game by game. You got to pick one team. You worry about one game. Yes, it's still a crapshoot. Yes, anything can happen. But when the stakes are, and for anybody who hasn't done a Survivor Pool in any sport, you choose a team. If they win, when the next set of contests games go, you can't pick that team again. And you go on and on and on until the last. And if you pick a team and they lose, obviously you get knocked out. So you go on and on until the last person standing. That, yo, DPalm, when I tell you, if you ever want to get back into this NCAA money on the line game, do it with Survivor. Like I am a Survivor evangelical right now. Like it's just that good, because you know what? I know, like I told you before, the bracket, it's going to break eventually. But for the Survivor Pool, it's literally like, yo, I'm rooting. I got knocked out. I had two entries in my Survivor Pool, one which was more conservative and one which was YOLO. And in the YOLO bracket, I picked USC over Baylor. They've been doing well. They've been on one of those runs. No real rhyme or reason. Of course, Vegas had them as a 6-point underdog, which meant, you know, throw money at them. For that's what they wanted. But everybody, like a vast majority of the pool left, picked Baylor. And the other way the Survivor Pool goes, you get points by your seed. So if you picked a 5 to win and I picked a 12 and they both advance, I technically am ahead of you in points because I had a 12 seed. So I have 12 and you have 5 for that round. So being that USC was an 11 seed and Baylor was a 3, and all these people were picking Baylor, had USC won, I would have been at top of the pool with about 5 other people with 6 games to go and clearly in the driver's seat. And you don't get that with brackets. I understand why you hate them, but I can tell you, if you want to come back to this NCAA game.
But I want to tell you right now that gambling on the brackets or even the Survivor Pool breaks 2 of my biggest rules in gambling. Don't bet on something you know nothing about, and never bet on college kids. And for people who say, oh, no, college kids, there's nothing more unreliable in America than an 18 to 22-year-old male. Nothing.
And
you
I
want to
could
put
say
your
that
hard-earned money that this young man isn't have a test he just bombed or a girl who's mad at him. You really want to gamble on that?
Right. That's true.
I was one of those college kids. I played football.
Same.
Those kids are bucket cases.
Dude, be it someone who was an 18 or 23-year-old man, when you said you can't count on them, not to win you no damn game, not even in pickup. Not even in pickup. You'd be like, yo, bro, what the hell? Yo, shit is crazy. Like, nah.
You know what I did see? The end of that Vanderbilt game, Northwestern.
Oh.
That's what that 18 kid? To 23-year-old kid does.
Yo, bro. Like, and another day we're going to talk about these refs in the NCAA because, yo, I've never been a refs like all the time person, but geez, give me a striped shirt if that's the case. Some of these calls that you miss, I don't know. I heard you talk about LeVar Ball and the whole dad situation. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. just where I stand, it's very simple. One, this man believes in his kids. I support it 100%. Should he pipe down? Probably just a tad short of saying you could beat MJ one-on-one. I'd say that was probably, if the ceiling is the roof, he went on top of the roof with that. He went 100% on top of the roof with that. But I don't really have a problem with him trying to build their brand and do what it is he's trying to do with those kids, just because it's always F the NCAA when it comes to how they make money off of kids and they can't make the money. And honestly, with college basketball, to me, it's already a crapshoot for you getting into the league already. So if you have a kid who's like Lonzo Ball, who's one of the best in the country, you're just betting on him to do well. And if he doesn't do well, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're gonna sink into Bolivian, and people ain't going to remember you anymore. But you may still build a brand that can make you money and be lucrative for you and give your kids something. They could turn it into an agency. Who knows? All you need is a little bit of shine. And if we're going to, and you know, I come from the Tim Tebow school of, if you're going to give me shine, I'm going to bank off of it. So I could see why some people are saying that it may be distracting, but I think they know who their dad is. And if it ain't phasing them now, I don't think it's gonna phase them going forward, unless they go to like a market like LA or New York. Then that might be high risk, high reward in the biggest sense. But to me, I'm not really like I'm not.
There is
hating on him.
There is nothing wrong with the way this LeVar Ball is acting. Everyone says we want parents who are involved. This guy's involved. This guy cares. This guy's the biggest advocate for his kids. And I tell everyone to say, if you have a child who's playing sports anywhere, you must advocate for your child.
100%.
Because even in high school, those coaches want to be college coaches. College coaches want raises. They want wins. They may not advocate for your child's true best interest. Because right, wrong, or different, coaches are humans. I'm sure we all got one coach. I know we're all thinking about him right now. That one coach who loved it, who loved what he did more than anything in the world, who did it because he cared, who wanted to see kids succeed. That's awesome. You know why that coach sticks out? Because he's a fucking aberration. Most coaches are human, and they're out for themselves. So, taking that to the next logical step, this is a man who's identified that his children have somewhat of a singular talent in this sport. He's now decided to cultivate it by not letting them get bought and sold when they were 13 to the AAU teams, which are run by shoe companies. You and I one day, because I've done the agent thing. I've been a sports agent. We can have that conversation and really talk about what's wrong with the way a lot of these sports are set up. Right. But I'll tell you right now, there is sneaker money in AAU teams. Some kids are bought and paid for early, not because it's wrong. I agree. They should be able to make money off of their image if they're going to make money for other people. That being said, LeVar Ball said, you know what? I want to make sure that I'm controlling things around my sons. We'll build it for ourselves. Who are we to judge the man who said, I don't like the way they do it, and didn't just say and complain and be the parent who bitched about things, but decided to do something about it? And people say, oh, he needs to stop talking about he could beat X, Y, and Z in basketball. What he says doesn't matter. Jeff, you and I you are from New York. I spent 4 years there. We know dudes who will just talk.
Right.
And just say
and we know why. And we know why.
But the thing is, what they've done is, by even asking him the questions, you've given them like, yo, she shut up. He's on ESPN. You're not. What's going on?
Yo, listen, man. I've said this a million times in person and debates with everybody. If you don't want him to be a distraction, if you're claiming that he's a distraction, why are you interviewing him? Why are you putting a live mic in his face? Because you know what? We know, especially in media, we love stories. And he's giving a story. And you know what, on another note that I just thought of? Listen, man, you know why I give my mom whatever she wants? Because she put a X year investment in me. Financially, emotionally, and physically, put an investment in me. And probably to numbers that we'll never really understand, even if and when we have children. Right. The investment and when you talk about a family that invests in their kids for sports, you're looking at teams, gear, all this stuff that has to go in hours. Time out of your life that you got to go to these practices, drive to practice, drive to games, be there for your kids, make sure they're not wilding out. your guardian, parent/guardian, there's no bigger definition than when you're supporting your child in the arts, in whatever they want to do. So my thing, my thing real quick, my thing is, for all of that he's putting in that people don't talk about, for him to say, okay, I see we can make this happen, so I'm going to do XYZ. I'm going to take all the slander that could come to them and put it all on me, so that when they do get big, we're going to have this big baller brand. Yeah, he said he thinks they can make $1 billion. So what? I think I can make $1 trillion. I'm speaking that joint into existence. I'm gonna speak it and speak it and speak it. And if I fall short, that's still more than I had before. We can't advocate being involved in their lives. And you know what? Maybe he is living vicariously through them. I hope to have a son or a daughter that I can do the same for. And if I'm not taking shine that they're telling me to pipe down and I'm still being overbearing, then it's no harm, no foul. Go get that money. Go do what you do.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. I did athletics in high school. My little brother was in the arts. He did plays and music and a lot of music. He's a recording artist in LA right now.
Nice.
But like my mother, God bless her, she was at everything. If we need something at practice, she was all over Atlanta. We used to go to Atlanta Boy Choir. And I remember because it'd be outside of season for me, but she had to pick me up from school. So we would sit in the car while Matt was at Atlanta Boy Choir practice. He later, through the Atlanta Boy Choir, got to sing for the Pope. Like this, like the sacrifice your parents put in, you can't put in numbers. And my dad, like my senior year of high school, my dad was taking a consulting gig in Memphis. So it meant during the week he'd be in Memphis. For the weekends he was home. My dad missed 0 football games, 0 plays, 0 wrestling matches. And if you asked him at the time, I was an All-American wrestler. I was All-State. He'd have told you I was the best wrestler on the planet. I was playing football. He'd tell you he's going to the league. A parent that believes in your kid, yeah, you guys people are construing it as one way, but the kids have spoken. They've all to a man said, why are y'all picking on my dad? He loves me and he cares for me and he wants the best for me. And honestly, who doesn't want that for their child?
I agree, man. That's why I always say it. It's similar with the whole Kaepernick's the worst person in the league. He's a distraction. He should do more. Then he starts doing more. And then you say, oh, you're only doing it because you're a free agent and you want to get a job. Like, you can't have it. You can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. Is some of the stuff he's saying egregious? A little bit. Is it outlandish? A little bit. But it's a story. And to be quite fair, they're not talking about it like that on broadcasts. And they're only in college. I think another thing is people are projecting the future on him. And like, what about when he gets in the NBA and the dad is doing that? You don't want him in the locker room. Da-da-da. We're not even there yet. UCLA still got the Sweet 16 to deal with. Like, you're projecting your own thoughts about past college. But here, and let's also be super fair. College sports, and you tell me if I'm wild in DPalm because you played college sports. College sports is all about overbearing parents, overbearing coaches, and the kids are there to do what they got to do and shine. And when they get shine, it's always secondary to somebody else.
Yeah, you're right. It's the school and the player. The school and the player. But guess what? People say, oh, we're here for the front of the jerseys. If the back of the jersey wasn't there, you wouldn't be in those seats. If Alabama's team was no good next year, they wouldn't sell out. Well, probably next year because those people are crazy. But you know what I'm saying? Like, attendance would drop. The revenue would drop. It behooves them. It's in their best interest to get the best student athletes. It's in the best interest to make sure, by whatever means necessary, those student athletes are able to perform. It is in their best interest, by whatever academic means necessary, that they're unencumbered to perform at their best ability on Saturdays in the fall. So it's an ecosystem that's dedicated to getting the most out of these players. And if your parents, or if you don't have, you're not even a parent. Like, I had advisors at my school. I had upperclassmen who knew more than me. I had my parents as well. But if I had a problem or if I was uncomfortable with something, and for an athletic sense, I wasn't going to my coaches because that's people who probably made it uncomfortable for me. I had other sounding boards, a great support system. And there's nothing more you can ask for as an athlete, particularly because the NCAA will make you feel alone.
I think we can leave it there, man. It's 100%. I just want to say facts. That's all. That's all I was saying in my head. That's all I was saying in my head. And anyone who follows me, follow me on Instagram. Jeff J Says, same as Twitter. I put up I don't know if you saw it, DPalm. I put up I guess you could call it a meme. Somebody put a headline of of a report that said 1 dead as serious accident happens XYZ. And the caption was, "A New Yorker will never read this right." And I sat there for a minute like, why are they saying something's dead ass serious? This is a real thing that happened. People might have died. And I looked and I just started busting out laughing. Jesus be an Oxford comma. And that's what we need. That's why I was like, yo, all I can say is facts behind what you said. But I agree with that, man. Let that man do what he does. DPalm, where can they find you, man?
Man, you can find me on Twitter at DPalm66. You can find me on Instagram. I have the same. It's everywhere at DPalm66. Like you said, man, branding's important. I got ahead of that from the jump. You can follow all my stuff at MTR at the MTR Network on Twitter. I do, like I said, Super Tuesday podcasts out every Thursday. Character Corners, we do about 2 a month. And UD Podcast happens every Monday in your inbox. It's also been happening on Fridays as we gear up towards the road to WrestleMania, covering the week's worth of professional wrestling.
Thank you once again, DPalm, for joining us. Be sure to follow all his stuff, follow all his work. Him and the MTR Network do great things. I love it, and you'll love it too. And thank you for listening. Guys, it's the end of our show, episode 2. We did it. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and SoundCloud at Nonstop Culture. Instagram at nonstop.culture. And you heard why I'm mad at that. So help me to get that whole name so that we can be ubiquitous across all social media and digital media accounts. Nonstopculture.com/subscribe for all your podcasting needs. Info at nonstopculture.com if you have any questions, and leave us a 5-star review. Want to know what you think of the show? Helps us move up in the rankings and helps me to know who's out there. I'll read them on future shows too and show love, because I love showing love to those that love the show. All right, that sounds pretty cool, right? 2 episodes and many more to go. Thanks again for joining, and until next time, this is Jeff J saying adios, au revoir, and I'll see you soon.